Part 48. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 475. The male player reluctantly took out a precious prop that looked like marbles. Although Baki Yaoxi has a certain IQ, it is equivalent to the IQ of a 10-year-old human child. Apart from being able to think of cheating death, he basically doesn't know how to do any conspiracy. The male player is bullying Baichi Yaoxi, who has an IQ comparable to that of a 10-year-old child. When Baichi Yaoxi is unprepared, he suddenly throws the marbles in his hand. After a few seconds, the marble exploded. A dazzling white light suddenly appeared. Haha! Baichi Yaoxi was illuminated by the white light, and his whole body seemed to be burned, and he continued to analyze the smelly and unpleasant gas. As the gas continues to spread, the original body shape of the white gas demon evil seems to be shrinking little by little, until it finally dissipates. Phew, it's finally solved. You kill a white spirit demon and get 10 points. The panel popped up, but the male player was not happy at all. It's only 10 points. According to the nature of the game, 10 points will definitely not be exchanged for anything good. And this one-time prop of his is very rare. This wave of blood loss. Forget it, I've saved my life at least. The male player changed the direction of his thinking with difficulty, but he didn't feel so distressed anymore. If I'm not going to kill monsters anymore, I'd better find a place to finish the hour. The male player muttered to himself. Just as the male player was about to leave this place of right and wrong, an evil spirit with green smoke on its head suddenly jumped out from the corner in front of him, and it also ran quickly in his direction, with an expression on his face that seemed to be a little bit frightened. This newly appeared evil spirit is extremely agile. Its speed at this time alone is definitely faster than the running speed of a normal person. Wow! Kinky is evil. The male player suspected that he had entered menopause early, so his old eyes were dim. How could he see Ching Chi Yaoxi? This unscientific. He is just a little guy. Oh my god. Why are you running over here? The male player immediately ran away. You would be a fool not to run. It takes him only one marble to deal with a white chi demon. Needless to say, a higher level green chi demon will be more difficult to deal with. Ah! Did you make a mistake? Why is it chasing me? The male player is really going to cry this time, because no matter how he changes direction, the Ching Chi Yaoxi behind him is like a nightclub fierce woman, insisting on entangling him, this handsome guy with beautiful trees in the wind. My props! The male player cried and swallowed a jelly bean item. His own speed increased several levels in an instant. For a while, the green Chi Yaoxi behind him could not catch up. But he didn't see that there was a petite figure chasing behind the menacing kinky Yaoxi who thought he was coming from a bad person. At this time, Sutingyu, who was at the back carrying the death blade, was extremely depressed. It was not easy to encounter a colorful demon, but this green chi demon just glanced at the death blade in his hand and ran away without even thinking of bullying the unarmed little fairy like her. Sutingyu was so confused. No. Sutingyu wanted to ask on the spot, where is your dignity as a demon? It is simply too embarrassing for the Yaoxi clan. The heartbroken Sutingyu decided to do a good deed and get rid of this cowardly Yaoxi who had no dignity and ambition for the Yaoxi clan. With the excellent headstrong style of the good, evil, and evil clan. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 476. Huh? Wait a minute, there seems to be a player in front. Sutingyu, who had been chasing for a long time, suddenly found a player in front of Ching Chi Yaoxi, and his eyes suddenly lit up. If the big brother in front could stop Kinky Yaoxi, even for just a second, Sutingyu would be sure to catch this evil traitor. Just do it. Sutingyu yelled, hey big brother in front. Can you help me? The male player who was desperately escaping felt that he was hallucinating. Why did he hear the girl's voice? Surprise sigma, degree. Is it possible that he has been single for 25 years and has become obsessed with lust, and at this critical moment, he is still thinking about the important matter of continuing the family line? Sutinyu shouted once, but when he saw that the big brother ignored him, he shouted again without giving up, "Brother! Look back! Don't run away! Let's join hands and get rid of this evil spirit." The second time? The male player looked confused. Is there really anyone? Do you want to join forces with him to kill the evil spirits? Is it a player? The male player turned around doubtfully. Hi big brother. Seeing that the big brother in front reacted, Sutinyu waved his little hand excitedly, "Brother, stop the evil spirit and I can catch it." The male players were even more confused. This she-male? Male and female voices? So, under Sutinyu's expectant eyes, the big brother in front ran faster. Sutinyu? What's going on? Is this big brother too cowardly? Just after Sutinyu was depressed for a second, the big brother in front suddenly stopped, turned around and threw something. After a few seconds, a flash of light came on. Without checking for a moment, Kinky Yaoxi was affected by the flash of light, and his body stagnated. Seeing this, Sutinyu's eyes lit up, and he quickly seized this precious opportunity and accelerated his pace. The male player, who was originally hesitant about whether to throw another marble, saw that Sutinyu was so fierce and dared to face the Qing-Chi demon directly, and he no longer hesitated. "I have wasted one, and I don't care if I waste one more." Bang! The second marble explodes. The flash caused by the two marbles had a great impact on the green Chi Yaoxi, but it was not enough to have a decisive effect like killing the white Chi Yaoxi. However, the two marbles also gave Sutinyu a chance to get close enough. The death blade cuts it off with one strike. Qing-Chi Yaoxi didn't even have a chance to defend or escape. He was killed on the spot. Oh my god! Seeing this scene, the male player breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, the male player recovered from the terrifying thought of bumping into a human monster in time and noticed that Sutinyu's words meant that he had the ability to kill Qing-Chi Yaoxi. Therefore, the male player chose the latter between continuing to escape and consuming more props, or fighting and consuming a small amount of props. You kill a green spirit demon and get 20 points. Just 20 points for all the effort, boss. Sutinyu inevitably had the same idea. "Brother, thank you." After cleaning up the Qing-Chi Yaoxi, Sutinyu didn't forget to say thank you to the male player. After all, apart from her contribution, she didn't use any props. "You're welcome, you're welcome." The male player had not yet recovered from the shock of Sutinyu slashing Qing-Chi Yaoxi with his sword. When he suddenly heard the mysterious ladyboy thanking him, he waved his hand subconsciously. "No. It doesn't matter if you're a human or not. What happened to the she-male? That is the mysterious boss's supreme pursuit of the meaning of life. That's why I'm going to change my gender." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 477. Sutinyu still had a good impression of this eldest brother, but there seemed to be something wrong with his eyes. Sutinyu made an invitation, "Brother, there is still a little time left. Do you want us to work together to harvest the evil spirits? Give the village a peaceful future." Sutinyu wanted to find more green Chi demons, but he could learn from the demon trader that had just raised its braids. It seemed that it could keenly sense the threat of the death blade to them, so it could decisively escape. Sutinyu couldn't put the death blade in the inventory first in order to make Qing-Chi Yaoxi relax his vigilance, right? It also requires reaction time to collect and retrieve. And as a weak little fairy, she doesn't feel safe if she doesn't carry a self-defense weapon at all times. So, Sutinyu thought of letting this big brother be the bait, to continue cooperation. Another point is that this eldest brother is from the same village as her, and he seems to be reliable, so it is necessary to build a good relationship. Ah! Boss, are you still looking for evil spirits? The male player stared, but when he remembered the situation just now, he felt relieved again. Yes, you attract the firepower, and I'll catch it. How about we split the captured monsters in half, Sutinyu suggested. The male player hesitated. Boss, are you sure? Sutinyu spread his hands. Even if we don't continue to kill the evil spirits, it's better for the two of us to go together than for you to go alone, right? Due to the previous cooperation and the strong strength shown by Sutinyu, it really made the male player's heart flutter. It doesn't matter if it's 50 or 50, big brother, you're 7 and I'm 3. The male player kept an eye on it and took the initiative to sell it to Sutinyu, showing that he would neither fight nor rob. Sutinyu blinked her big eyes and thought to herself, this big brother doesn't look very smart, but she likes him, hee. Oh well. The two hit it off immediately. Now that they are teammates for the time being, the two exchange basic information. Angel Su. Just bubbling. Sutinyu looked at the elder brother's game nickname and felt that it seemed familiar, but couldn't remember it, so he simply asked, Brother Bao Bao, have you participated in the Children's Day dungeon before? Or have you been on the list in the panel? At this time, Brother Bao Bao was surprised that he couldn't find Sutinyu's game nickname for 1 second. The next second, he was even more shocked after Sutinyu told him the game nickname. Angel Su? Isn't this the boss on the hunting list who was offered a reward some time ago? Wow, rumor has it that Angel Su is a soft girl, isn't he? Why is he now, a new age man? I did participate, but it's not a mention, it's not a mention. Brother Bubble was confused. Is it okay for him to leave now? This is the boss with a bounty on his head. He doesn't care about the boss, he is even heartless, but he is just a minion. If he gets too close to the boss, it's hard not to be noticed by other players. But if he leaves now, Brother Baopeo always feels that the boss will kill him directly. Oh, let's get started. Find Yaoxi. Sutinyu was gearing up and couldn't wait. Okay, boss, I'll follow your orders, boss. Brother Bubble looked resigned. So, with the cooperation of the two of them, Brother Bao Bao went to various ways to annoy the demons, and deceived many white chi demons and green chi demons into chasing him in anger. When they got into a blind corner, they were all ambushed. This Suting fish is dried and turned over. According to the ratio of 7-3, Sutinyu defeated some evil spirits and lost their arrogance, then let Brother Bubble deliver the final blow. Before I knew it, the hour-long outing was over. Oh. The May 2nd exploration mission has ended. Evil killing list. First place, I will scum you in the next life, 200 points. Second place, Angel Su, 190. Third place, Guoshi Wushuan, 180 points. Fourth place, Ha, 180 points. Fifth place, Invincible is Too Lonely, 170 points. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 478. Using the invisibility effect of the hat, Sutinyu returned to his house smoothly. As soon as he entered the house, Sutinyu began to inspect the room. Although the realgar wine was sprinkled outside the door and no evil spirits could get in, he still had to be cautious. Sutinyu didn't want an ugly evil spirit to come out of the closet under the bed when he went to bed tonight. Sutinyu checked a few times and made sure that there were no traces of anything strange coming in, and then he felt relieved. On the bedside, the sachet that Sutinyu had dried out all night was still there. Sutinyu reached for it and tied it around his waist. There are many people during the day, so since the cheap mother-in-law wants her to wear it, she should wear it. After everything was settled and even his appearance had changed, Sutinyu walked out of the house openly. In the morning, Sutinyu helped with some housework just like yesterday, and went out to continue to inquire about the situation. Many players died last night. The cause of death should be that they wanted to go out in the middle of the night, but were discovered by villagers and killed by the latter. Pity. Why is such a good baby gone? Yes. The other villagers who were watching were all lamenting, while the relatives of the dead player were all crying hysterically. But Sutinyu didn't feel a trace of sadness at all. On the contrary, it was a little creepy. You must know that the murderers of these players are the people who are crying. In addition, Sutinyu discovered that the players who died today were all carrying sachets. Logically speaking, sachets are worn by children in the Dragon Boat Festival custom to ward off evil spirits. In this round of dungeons, the players all have parents and elders. It is very reasonable for the NPC elders to give them a sachet. But these players still did not escape the fate of death even though they were wearing sachets. Could it be that these sachets didn't work? I forgot to ask Brother Bao last night if he was wearing a sachet when he came out. Sutinyu muttered to himself. However, it is not too late to ask now. When the two separated, they also informed each other of their dungeon identities and residence locations. Sutinyu looked for someone according to the residence address given to her by Brother Papao. When they met, Brother Bao looked confused as to why a girl would come to chat with him. As soon as Sutinyu spoke, Brother Bao immediately recognized the voice. You. Brother Bao was so surprised that he couldn't even speak. It was hard to accept that Angel Su was a transvestite, but now. Sutinyu blinked his eyes wide. What's wrong? Oh, are you because of my appearance? It's just a prop's ability. I see. Although he was shocked again, Brother Bubble still felt that it would be easier to accept the boss being a girl than a she-male. Boss, what do you want from me? Sutinyu immediately explained his intention. Sachet? No, Brother Bubble shook his head. I threw that thing at home. I didn't take it out last night. The main reason was that the smell was too strong, and I was worried that my whereabouts would be exposed. Exposed whereabouts? Sutinyu immediately grasped the key point and pondered deeply. If it is really because of this reason, then the player who died last night died a bit grievously. Boss, are you saying that those players who died last night died just because of a sachet? Brother Bubble said with a surprised look on his face. Sutinyu shook his head. It's just a guess, but one thing is certain. There is no use wearing sachets when going out at night, because all the players who died last night were wearing sachets. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 479. When it was almost time to meet the fat man, Sutinyu secretly called the kid. Brother, do you still want to have snacks today? Sutinyu said in a seductive tone. Think. Second sister. Can we still buy some? The little boy looked forward to it. He had finished all the food he had secretly brought back yesterday. Yes, go buy it. Sutinyu nodded, but this time, the second sister can go shopping alone. You stay at home and cover the second sister. But don't be discovered by my mother and eldest sister, okay? Then second sister, buy more. The little kid hesitated for a while, but agreed. Hearing the answer that came to mind, Suting suddenly frowned. Okay, buy more this time. Second sister, don't eat secretly. Even if you eat secretly, you must keep my share. Okay, I understand. After successfully fooling the scared kid, Sutinyu sneaked out when he found an opportunity. Kinkai Village. According to what was discussed yesterday, Sutinyu came to the area near his ancestral home. When Sutinyu came to the ancestral house this time, he saw many people coming in and out of the ancestral house, and it seemed that everyone was carrying something in their hands. Okay, okay. In the crowd, the fat man looked particularly majestic, and his aura as a big boss was clearly revealed. Go back and collect the reward. Thank you, master. Thank you, master. After the others left, Sutinyu walked towards Fatty. Fat man, it's okay. You look so majestic as a young master, Sutinyu teased with eyes filled with laughter. The fat man scratched his head. Didn't I listen to your words, boss? I will move here for one night. Those people just now are my servants, responsible for moving luggage and cleaning the house. Fatty also saw Sutinyu coming over just now, so he quickly sent the others away. After the two entered the house, they started talking about business. Fat man, is this a hat or a bottle of disguise potions? Sutinyu handed the two items to Fatty, who took them carefully. After reading the item information, he understood how to use them and put them into the inventory. Thank you, boss. The fat man turned around and got a paper bag with snacks in it. Here, boss, I'll take it back for you. Okay, Sutinyu took it, waited, and took out some more. Little brat, I definitely can't eat so much. She is so considerate. Sutinyu mentioned the issue of sachets by the way. When the fat man heard this, he suddenly felt uneasy. Is there something wrong with the sachet? I wore it all last night. It's the same now. As he said that, the fat man gestured to the sachet on his waist. Sutinyu glanced at it, then take it off now. Remember, it's best not to leave any scent of the sachet on your body. Although Sutinyu didn't know whether the sachet was the cause of the death of the player who died on the second night, it was fine to be careful. The fat man was a timid person. When he heard about this situation, even if it was a possibility, he felt as if he was facing an enemy. He immediately took off the sachet and threw it on the table nearby. Okay boss, I'll rub myself all over again later, no. 3 times. Next, Sutinyu told some more information about the evil spirits at night. When you encounter gray energy demons, you can try to kill them, but for other colors, you can run as far as you want. Also, wow, the green spirit demon can run very fast. Do you have any props to speed it up? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 480. After the chat, Sutinyu said goodbye to the fat man in a hurry and left Kinkaiu village. After returning home, Sutinyu secretly handed the paper bag to the little kid, and then acted like a good girl at home, while improving the favorability of the cheap mother and cheap eldest sister. Before I knew it, the sky was getting dark. The cheap father also came back, and the family gathered around the dining table to have dinner. During dinner, the conversation about home affairs came to the conversation about Binyi's father. Why are you coming back later and later lately? Sutinyu on the side pricked up his ears out of habit. Getting later and later? The cheap mother-in-law said this, and it seems to be true. Hearing this, Xianyuan's father explained, oh, I have been going to the tribe for the past few days to discuss the dragon boat race on the Dragon Boat Festival. Currently, dozens of tribes have signed up to participate. The tribe requires every village to participate. 2 or 3 dragon boat teams must be sent out, and one team requires 23 people, not including substitutes and the like. Since you want to participate, let's choose someone. It's not difficult, right? The cheap mother-in-law didn't understand. The dragon boat competition happens every year, and she had never seen her husband look so sad before. It's not difficult. However, I have visited many households in the village in the past 2 days. Recently, many young people have been killed by evil spirits. There are suddenly fewer young people in the village. I am more worried. It's time to compete, and we can't even get together a team. The father expressed his concerns. Oh, the evil spirit that kills 1,000 swords, the cheap mother sighed with compassion, there are so many young children, how come? Sutingyu ate in silence. Anyway, Sutingyu felt that goosebumps were rising on her arms when these NPCs said things like pity. Is this the same situation in other villages? So how to solve the problem of contestants this time? So, I was thinking about this all the way home today. After Sutingyu finished his third bowl of rice, he put down his bowl and chopsticks, wiped his face, and said, "Mom, Dad, we don't have enough boys, so why don't we girls come in?" "Are you going to be a girl?" Cheap's father was shocked. Yes. Sutingyu learned that the dragon boat competitions in the tribe were always attended by young men aged 18 to 38, and women could not participate. When he learned about this situation, Sutingyu became a little depressed on the spot. Although the task requirement is to participate in the entire dragon boat race, it does not say whether it is as a player or a spectator. Players who want stability will naturally choose the latter. But as smart as Sutingyu, she thought that if she participated in the dragon boat race, there might be extra rewards. It just so happened that my father was the head of the village. If I could convince him and let him tell the tribe about the idea, it might work. Dad, you are the head of a village, you must take the lead, right? But neither you nor your younger brother meet the age requirements. If a woman can participate, then I can participate on your behalf, Dad. If I can win the first prize in one fell swoop, it can also make your face shine. Sutingyu's talk was reasonable and well-founded. The cheap father felt shocked and ridiculous at first, but gradually he felt that this method was feasible. Women are weaker than men. It would be unfair to compete together, but it would be a waste of time to compete between men and women. Regarding this problem, Sutingyu had already thought of a way to deal with it. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 481. Dad, doesn't each dragon boat need 23 people? Each dragon boat can be assigned 17 men and 6 women. This male-to-female ratio can also be adjusted according to specific circumstances to unify the male-to-female ratio for all dragon boat teams. In fact, a better solution is to make the dragon boat smaller, so that fewer people are needed. But if this were to happen, wouldn't the woman have no chance to participate? Sutingyu is not stupid. Besides, the Dragon Boat Festival is only a few days away, and hundreds of new dragon boats cannot be made in a short while. After hearing this, Xianyang's father pondered for a moment. That's a good idea. I'll mention it to the tribe tomorrow. If it doesn't work, the number of dragon boats in this year's dragon boat competition may be greatly reduced. Sutingyu was not surprised to hear such a reply. After all, Cheap's father is just a small village chief. He can put forward opinions, but he cannot play a decisive role. However, the goal was achieved, at least the father was convinced. If he still can't do it in the end, then Sutingyu will have no choice but to be a spectator. After dinner, it's time to go to bed. In ancient times, rural people's nightlife was quite boring, and they went to bed early to save oil, lamps, and candles. After Sutingyu took a bath and was about to close the door, he sniffed lightly. In the past 2 days, the smell of alcohol on the door frame seems to have become weaker and weaker, and now it is almost gone. In the real world, realgar wine is sprinkled on door frames to prevent the intrusion of the 5 poisons. And in this round of dungeons, it's hard to tell what exactly can be defended against. There is also realgar wine in the house, why don't you sprinkle some more? Sutingyu thought it was feasible. Just do it and immediately bring a jar of realgar wine. Sutingyu had little experience in spilling wine for the first time. He used too much force and lost most of the jar of wine. On the first night, the cheap mother-in-law spilled half a jar of wine on all the doors and windows. One more thing, let's sprinkle it on the windows too. In the end, only an empty altar was left. Smelling the strong smell of wine, Sotingyu was satisfied. Sleep. Big Hui, come out and keep watch. De Hui was pulled out again, looking confused. It was now the third night, and Sotingyu felt that what he had experienced was a bit calm, so he had to be more vigilant at night. De Hui, this is a copy of 7 stars. Don't go out at night, or you will be swallowed by something dirty. Ouch, Sotingyu threatened De Hui. De Hui nodded repeatedly, okay, okay. If something happens, just wake me up. Sotingyu jumped on the bed, sat cross-legged for a while, thought about it, and took out the death blade. Last night, the green spirit demon ran away as soon as he saw the death blade. This is definitely a weapon for the vigil. It's a pity that the death blade has no spirit yet, but it has some spirituality. Otherwise, there is no need to trouble De Hui anymore. 0 o'clock is here. Sotingyu's panel popped up, but he fell asleep. The big ash flew around the room for a while, and soon hung upside down on the beam in boredom. Throwing it around, it looked like a dead body that had committed suicide on the beam, very vivid. The big gray eyes looked around in boredom. Sigh, as a good ghost with a normal schedule, it really wants to sleep. When De Hui accidentally glanced at the closed door, a human-shaped black shadow suddenly reflected on the white window paper. His big gray eyes widened, and he subconsciously looked down at Sotingyu, who was sleeping. The person is still there, so what is this shadow? Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 482. De Hui was wondering and hesitating whether to wake up Sotingyu. The black shadow on the window paper suddenly stretched, leaving only a long black line connecting the head and body. And the area occupied by the black shadow on the window paper seems to be getting larger and larger. No. It's approaching the door. De Hui trembled, flew down quickly, and said in a low and anxious voice, Master, Master, there is a situation, there is a situation. Sotingyu turned over and slapped him away, accidentally sending the big ash flying out. Huh, Sotingyu struggled for 2 seconds before opening his eyes. De Hui covered half of his face and flew over cautiously, Master, Master. What's going on now? Sotingyu rubbed her eyes and asked. Before De Hui could answer, there was a crash outside the door. At this moment, Sotingyu's attention was attracted. I saw a twisted human-shaped black shadow reflected on the window paper of the door, and the black shadow was hitting the door, trying to break in. Sotingyu's eyes widened in surprise. This, what the hell is this? Disturbing one's dreams. Go, bring the wine and pour it on the door. Sotingyu hugged the quilt and stretched out her hand to direct De Hui. She couldn't go out tonight, otherwise she would want to go out now to see what it was about. Although Sotingyu could wait for this thing to break into the door and see its true face clearly, this room would probably be ruined. This round of dungeons only lasted 1 night, and Sotingyu didn't want to be left without a place to stay. Okay, Master, De Hui immediately obeyed. De Hui felt a sense of discomfort when his hands touched the wine jar, but as long as he didn't touch the wine inside, there was no problem. De Hui opened the wine jar, pointed it in the direction of the door, and poured the wine several times in succession. His sprinkling of wine was even more bold than Sotingyu's. Drinks gradually seeped out from the edge of the door crack, and the things outside suddenly gave up and continued to bang on the door. Their figures kept moving away, and the black shadow on the window paper became smaller and smaller. When Sotingyu saw this situation, he guessed, is this, leaving? Neither one nor the ghost went back to sleep or let down their guard, they just kept staring at the door. Gradually, the night became calm again, as if nothing happened. Oh oh oh! The passionate cry of the rooster came from outside the door. The 3rd day of May exploration mission has ended. Evil killing list. First place, Qin Chi, 450 points. Second place, God's 2 seconds, 390 points. Third place, Alexander, 380 points. Fourth place, I Am George, 360 points. Fifth place, Guess Who I Am, 350 points. Kikai is on the list. I'll go. 450 points? Why is it so high? Sutingyu's eyes widened in surprise. On the list, the new top 5 players all came up on the third night. That is to say, they all went out on the third night. But compared with the points obtained by the players in the previous 2 nights, why is there such a big gap? Could it be that these 5 people just happen to have some kind of props that can quickly find the evil spirits and eliminate them quickly? Sutingyu scrolled down the list. Sutingyu didn't take a close look at the rankings below, but he could also notice that many unfamiliar game nicknames appeared. His original ranking in the top 5 has dropped to outside of the 30. This is not right. It wouldn't be surprising if only a few players rushed forward, but now, it's clearly a common phenomenon. What was different last night? Could it be related to the Dark Shadow last night? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 483. Sutingyu took the big gray back and let it catch up on its sleep. There might even need to be a big gray vigil tonight. In fact, the residents of Angel Apartment could also keep vigil, but their strength was much weaker than that of Big Gray, and they were not as clever as Big Gray, so they didn't call out. However, Sutingyu threw in another 1,000 disobedient little flowers to use as their food stock. When the strength increases greatly, it will not be too late to release them. After cleaning up briefly, Sutingyu opened the door and went out. The smell of alcohol at the door was still very strong, but when Sutingyu came out today, she didn't see Cheap Mother and Cheap Sister who got up early every day. Sleeping in? There should be food to eat, right? Sutingyu murmured. She didn't care much about whether her cheap mother could cook or not. There was a lot of bread and water in her inventory. She would secretly eat one when she was hungry. Bread. Let's go out. Sutingyu muttered to herself and walked towards the gate of the yard. Still the same as the previous 2 days, Sutingyu first went for a walk around the village to see if any players were eliminated last night. But as soon as he went out today, Sutingyu felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere in the whole village. Most of the houses had their doors closed, and Sutingyu only felt a sense of desolation along the way. It's like there's no popularity whatsoever. What happened? After walking for a while, Sutingyu finally saw some figures, but based on his feeling, those people were all players who had survived until now. Similarly, they also went out to understand the situation. This feels weird. Could it be the same as last night? Sutingyu also overheard the whispers of some players. According to the meaning of the words, could it be possible that other players also encountered the shadow attack last night? If there are players who are too asleep to defend themselves, or are unable to resist, then when the black shadow breaks through the door, those players will face. Sutingyu had a rough answer in his mind. Could the dark shadow last night be the red chi evil spirit that Sutingyu has never been able to find? Or a higher level evil spirit? Players who were able to go out last night probably had an increased chance of encountering higher level monsters, so they earned more points. After an hour, the NPCs in the village became active, and the whole village seemed to be back to normal. Today, players also died, but more of them died inside the house. Some players died with peaceful faces, and they were probably killed in their sleep. The evil spirit can break into the door and threaten the player's life. This is like a signal. The danger of this round of dungeons seems to be increasing in a cycle, step by step. No player can predict what situation will eventually evolve. Sutingyu went to find brother Bubu, and after confirming that he didn't burp, he set off to find Fatty. Sutingyu was quite worried about whether the fat man would burp. After all, according to her own guess, the danger of last night's dungeon suddenly increased a lot. When they arrived at Kinkai village, Sutingyu went to the ancestral house to find Fatty as usual. Knock knock knock. Sutingyu knocked on the door several times. After waiting for a few seconds, the door was opened from the inside, and the fat man with his head and tail came out. When he saw the person, he immediately showed a warm smile. "Boss, you are here." Seeing that the fat man's face was expressionless, Sutingyu blinked his big eyes. "Fat man, you didn't encounter anything last night, right?" "Last night? What happened last night?" The fat man looked confused. Sutingyu suddenly frowned. "Fat man, isn't the alcohol in your house too smelly?" Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 484. "Oh, it's not very heavy. I just spilled a jar of wine." The fat man looked unconcerned. Sutingyu was about to nod when he suddenly realized something was wrong. "Wait a minute. One tank, does the wine count in the tank?" "No, Fatty, aren't you afraid that if there is a fire, you will be burned into skewers?" Sutingyu originally thought that using a jar of wine was outrageous enough, but she didn't expect that she was too small. "It's okay to have a fire. I carry several tanks of water in the house. I'm just afraid of evil spirits, so." The fat man scratched his head in embarrassment. "Well, if you have this vat of wine, I'm afraid the red spirit demon will come and you'll have to take a detour." Sutingyu clicked his tongue and sighed. "By the way, Fatty, do you live alone in your ancestral house?" "Yes," the fat man nodded. The fat man himself is not a little retarded in life, he can still be self-sufficient, and he does not need NPC servants to serve him. "Oh, I see." Sutingyu understood. It was precisely because the fat man had no one at home and a jar of wine was spilled outside that no evil spirits could get in last night. "Fat man, you should continue to live in your ancestral home. There are problems with the NPCs in this round of dungeons. They just look normal during the day, maybe they will turn into evil spirits at night." The fat man was a little confused when he heard this, but since it was the boss who spoke, it must be correct, so he nodded and agreed. "Okay, boss, it's good for me to live alone. By the way, boss, your props." The fat man took out his hat and handed it to Sutingyu. Sutingyu took the hat and put it back into the inventory. "There are still 2 nights left. Please be careful. The situation in the next 2 nights may be more dangerous." "Okay, boss, I'll be careful." It was a matter of life, so Fatty was naturally very energetic. Sutingyu stayed for a while, then took some snacks and went back. Tonight, all 9,600 players have taken turns to go out, so there is still one more night left. On the way back, Sutingyu thought of the time of this round of dungeons, which was really weird. Because the daytime when entering the dungeon at the start is not the first day of May, it will be the first day of May after midnight, which gives an extra half day. The requirement for the dungeon is to survive for 5 days, so, wait until the 5th day of May, which is the day of the Dragon Boat Festival. If a dragon boat race is held during the day, won't the players have to stay for another half day? Thank you. Also, halfway through the dungeon, Sutingyu didn't see any tokens or props. Isn't it true that tokens and props are easy to find in the event dungeon? But this time, there is really no hint about the token. After returning to the village, Sutingyu hurried home, thinking that after so long, there must be something going on at home, right? As soon as Sutingyu opened it, he almost ran into a figure. Eldest sister." Sutingyu braked in an emergency, looked up, and immediately saw the cheap eldest sister's straight eyes and pale face as if she had put on a few kilograms of flour. The cheap eldest sister spoke slowly and in a faint voice, "Little sister, where have you been?" As she said this, Sister Xianyuan moved her feet and seemed to move forward, as if she wanted to get closer to Su Tingyu. Su Tingyu said wow, her eyes immediately turned red, and she cried loudly, "Sister, I, I, I'm hungry. You and your mother are staying up late today, and my stomach can't bear it anymore, so, I went up to the mountain to pick wild vegetables." While crying, he also removed the straw basket from behind, deliberately showing the random wild vegetables in it as evidence to Big Sister. "Sister, why did you get up so late? I'm almost starving."